Joe Farinella, thank you so much for bringing me to your very favourite bar, Grogans in Dublin.
Hey Gary, nice to meet you again in this little spot here. Are we live now, by the way?
Oh, absolutely, we're totally live.
Okay, just indulge me in something here. So blooper reel, take one.
You've always, in your whole life, wanted to do that, haven't you, Joe?
Well, actually, I just went through a series of interviews this morning, so I've had a load of them lying around. It's just your average Tuesday.
Just an average morning. So, Grogans in Dublin, look at it, man. It's got all the bits and bric-a-brac and old chandeliers, the whole lot. There's a lot to love about it, but why do you love it so much?
I think salubrious is the adjective you're looking for there. No, Brogan's, it's as much the location as the actual pub itself. I think that makes it great. On the inside, it's got its own scent, its own aroma, which some people will like and others won't. But it's a quirky little place. Always different arts on display from local artists on the walls. They do a mean toasted ham and cheese sandwich. But the best bit for me is having pints outside Grogans on the street. It's just off, if you're not familiar with it, it's just off South William Street in Dublin. And it's a great place for a bit of people watching, standing out in the cold and just having a bit of crack, and the buzz you get in the evening after as kind of town is going from transitioning from work to play. It's a good spot, especially at Christmas time.
Gets a little bit louder as well, doesn't it? It tends to. You were trying to be politically correct there by saying transitioning. It's really sort of the boisterousness of the place.
That's it, isn't it? It's the noise of people living their lives and kind of letting their hair down a little bit, and like, it's not a wild pub by any means, but I
There's,
suppose you can observe all the wildness, the madness going on around you.
there's a couple of points there that we just can't skip away from, and that's the unique smell. Did the unique smell go when smoking was pushed out to the outside of the dwellings, do you think?
I think it's the aftermath of smoking, probably, and what it was masking before then, or it's quite simply a few burnt toasted ham and cheese sandwiches. But no, it's a good little spot. Always hopping, always packed. You'll always have a good chat with some random stranger at the bar. So I've always enjoyed it.
But that goes without saying that usually it comes down to the company that it attracts. Maybe the same as Doheny and Nesbitt's, maybe the same as the Long Haul. They tend to attract a lot of locals as well, which is nice. So yeah, look at
Yeah,
that. Got
it's
bits.
also handy that they let anybody in that's been barred from all of those other places that you mentioned. So
I am so happy you brought that up rather than me, because one might suggest that I would have been thrown out of places in the past. Not. So the bar is packed, the door opens, there's somebody standing in the doorway that you have always wanted to have a pint with. Who is it?
well, contrary to what you might believe, as things we're sitting in a pub right now, I probably don't get into pubs that often anymore, just due to life. So my guess would be, you're the person I'd like to have a pint with, would be my two daughters. I've two daughters now. What makes this an interesting guest for me is that they're aged 4 and 6. So I would love to see what people they become. I would love to see them walking through that door when they're 18 years old and just get a feel for who they've become. I've got big plans for them. They are my retirement plan, but I'm also interested obviously in their, are they happy, healthy, and then what impact have they had on the world around them?
That's incredible. We're on our 106th show. We've probably had that one on 50 of them. And I can honestly say that is the first time anybody has wanted to see their daughters in the future. Interesting beyond belief. I can't even think what. Yes. So what year is that? Four and what did you say?
6.
4 and 6. So let's say 15 years ahead. So we're in 2040. Wow. They'd probably fly in or send a hologram in to see Dad. I'm sitting in Lisbon, Dad. That's a hologram. We'll sit here.
Meet you in the metaverse for a pint after work.
Ah, are we not in the metaverse? I'll meet you in the real world, Dad.
Yeah.
Rad.
Yeah, no, I'm just really curious as to you look at them and you look at, I don't know, other family members or friends and see the challenges in the world around us and how they're dealing with them and how they're addressing them. Even the industry that we're in here, the community that we're part of here in Houston, Ireland, we're changing things. So what are they going to do, and what are they going to experience when they get to this point? So yeah, I'd love to know.
What a great question. And I guess also one would like to think that there are places like Grogans that will be like I guess it would be retro. I'm going retro tonight back because they are, and you can see it around when you even walk in and some of the others. They are like going back into the time of Brendan Behan and Joyce and that. They haven't really changed that much, have they? Even Grogans.
Well, I think that's the appeal to a pub like that. It's they haven't dressed it up to be something else,
Yeah.
or to be, to mirror something famous, or where you'd expect to meet Rita Ora or something like that. It's just a pub. It's just a place where people go and meet and have a chat.
No,
Um,
I love the fact that you said that they do a mean ham and cheese sandwich because again, they're not trying to be a sort of gastro pub. Even when the ham and cheese doesn't work, you probably get a bag of tato or something.
Oh, there's potato and there's peanuts there. I think it's safe to say they're world renowned for their toasted ham and cheese. They do a mean job with an easy single. So there's nothing too fancy about it. But listen, that's the place. It's somewhere you go for an unplanned chat and a bit of a laugh, and see where the night takes you.
Wow, fantastic. So maybe in 2040 we'll dust off this video and we'll actually bring your two daughters virtually or physically or via the meta to find out actually what they do think. But
Great. There's one big flaw though with this whole idea, and it's that too many boys in the pub. Don't think they'll be allowed out.
well,
Um,
I have 14 and 19, or no, sorry, 20 now, and I have news for you, Joe. You want choice.
okay.
When they're 4 and 5, you can give them your opinion and all that, and you're not going to have a choice. I know you know that, but I just thought I'd tell you. So 24 hours ago, you didn't know something, but now you do. What is it?
Can't remember. That's really the challenge, isn't it? Just to remember, and all the we're so much stimulus, so much things going on in our lives, so many things we can be learning. So when I was thinking about this question, I thought of it more in the context of what have I relearned, and that kind of got me thinking about the job that I do. Anyone that doesn't know me, I'm in marketing communications. It's I suppose it calls for creativity, it calls for curiosity, it calls for challenging the status quo, or at least they tell me. Um, so what have I relearned is all about, for me, is all about just looking at things as they are today and seeing how they're changing tomorrow. Um, and the whole idea came to me really as I was just walking the dog, as I do every morning. It's like Groundhog Day. The alarm goes off 6 a.m. and I got to drag myself out of bed to bring this dog for a walk. But when I get out there, it's just the best thing I could possibly do.
Yeah.
And as the seasons change, you just notice everything around you, and the same route that you take is just completely transforming into something else than it wasn't last week. So if you apply the same kind of principles to your day to day, your life, your work, whatever it might be, your relationships, you've got to be looking for what's changing, particularly with, if we take from a business perspective, customers are changing. We're working in an industry that isn't the same today as it was a year ago. So just being open, or being open to what those changes are, and being aware that it's going on, I think gives you an opportunity to either go with that change or to jump ahead of it and try and make yourself continue to be relevant in a place that's constantly changing. So
I think that you've hit the nail on the head with the word change. I think we all realize, and we've been told, and when we even look back 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, you don't recognize your behavior because it's nearly a different place. And yet, so few of us are able to adapt to change, Joe, or sit well with us. And yet we've only ever changed. Is that not in a different way called evolution? But we don't actually evolve that well, or fast enough, or slow enough, or it's extraordinary, really, isn't it?
But if you think, like you mentioned evolution, I suppose change with the evolution is you're reacting to your circumstances and adapting to them. I heard a different context though recently. Somebody in work actually, Davy Johnston, good pal of mine, he spoke about change and people involved in change as change makers. And it's just such a subtle difference. You know, it's about grabbing that and doing it yourself and leading it or having it done to you. So yeah, it just takes the fear out of it and makes it an adventure, an opportunity more so than preparing yourself for what this change is what the impact of that change is going to be on you. So
I like your analogy.
Nice mindset.
I really like your analogy too about being out in nature and stuff, because there will be someone who say, oh, well, it's the same just 4 times a year. But actually looking at it 365 days, you see subtle changes, the little changes, the small changes. Even your own dog, if he or she is acting like my dog will go certain routes at different times a year because there's leaves that are wet under his feet. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like wet leaves. He's a wuss. But anyway, that's a different.
But it's a really mindful experience though, because you're being aware, so aware of things like that, like where your dog's paws are stepping. But even just these pretty significant changes going on in your physical surroundings. Like I'm lucky enough to live in the countryside as of a year ago, and it's just incredible. Like literally, yeah. That we'll say that for the nature channel.
Were you? Sorry, and that's a great little diversion. Are you a townie by upbringing?
I'm a Dub pretty much through and through. Grew up in Dublin, spent a bit of time, a few years in the UK and a few years in Italy. The Italian connection, probably guess from my name. My mother is Irish. My father is Italian, from deepest darkest Sicily. So I think I'm the living proof of the best parts of both combined together. But yeah, no, it's great. It's fantastic. I think your original question was on my Dub, yeah, but I definitely feel like I've got lots of second homes. So I love Dublin. I feel very attached to Dublin, but I also love Italy and Sicily. And I feel perfectly at home there as well, particularly with my dad's family. But now I'm a Wexican. I moved down to Wexford, and talk about life changing. It is just the best thing we've done in such a long time. It's just brilliant.
Again, obviously change, adapting to change, preparing for change, and that will be a wonderful little story. Not that they'll remember, to ask your children when they walk into the pub in 2040.
Will they even be talking to me? I don't know.
Well, Joe, I just can't tell you at this moment in time because we just don't know. But we meandered slightly. We've been a little bit around the world. We've talked about some good stuff, some interesting stuff, some future stuff. It's been short and sharp, but it's been interesting, Joe. Thank you so much for bringing us to Grogans. It's really been insightful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Gary. Always a pleasure to chat to you, and thanks for everything that you and the guys in Northern Ireland do. It's such a great community.